This is a Commodore 64. Complete in box, it works. It's in nice condition. And I'm glad to have it. Like there's a lot of nostalgia there. I like the packaging. I have the original manual and everything. It works great. And I paid about $100 for this thing 2 years ago, which is a really good price on eBay. And nowadays, I don't think you can get a working one for anywhere close to that price. I got lucky on mine. I did buy it untested, and I determined that they really didn't test it, and it looked like really great shape, so I took a chance and it worked perfectly. But there's a really good chance that if you buy one that's untested, it will have problems. These things are getting really old. So I'm glad I own it. It's a lot of fun. I didn't pay much for it. However, there is an easier way to experience Commodore 64. It's been out for a while now. I'm actually not even running. You probably already noticed that that computer isn't even turned on right now. I have its little cousin here, the C64 Mini. And as you could tell, it's way smaller. It's like a quarter of the size or a third of the size, something like that. It has a really nice look to it. It's not perfect. Obviously, they don't have the Commodore name. They just say the 64. It does have the little rainbow thing here. The power button looks pretty legit. The function keys, they went through different color schemes on some of the keys and whatnot, but it all looks really nice. The only thing they didn't do on the keyboard on the Mini, you do not have the special characters on front of the keys. I guess it was probably just too expensive in manufacturing to justify the added cost that it would necessitate. So yeah, as far as the looks go, it looks really fantastic. I think it's a really nice looking little machine, and it feels good too. It feels like it's high quality. There's probably not much going on in there, probably not much inside of the case, but it looks really nice. Now the keys look like they should work, but they don't. There is a C64 Maxi, I think it's called, where that you can actually use a keyboard. This is just for show. These don't depress at all. It has power back here. It has, there's your HDMI out right there. Carries a picture in the sound, which is awesome. You don't need any kind of other equipment. You just plug in your HDMI and you're ready to go. There's a reset button on the side, or a power button. And then there's also 2 USB ports. And as you can see, I do have something plugged in this USB port. It is a joystick. And I am running BASIC right now. And like I said, you cannot type on this thing. So how can you use BASIC? Well, there's a couple of ways. Number one, if you press this on your joystick, then you get a virtual, zoom in a tad, then you'll get a virtual keyboard. And then you can actually come over here and it has all the keys. And I believe you can get to the special characters somewhere too. Maybe. You can like do some, if you need to just press a key or two, you can use that in combination with the joystick and it'll work, but it's not good. Like you can't, I would hate to code to write a whole program using that. That would not be my idea of a good time. But what you can do, just plug in a regular USB keyboard like this, or turn it upside down like that, there we go. And at that point now, you could just type away. You can just do 10, let me restart. Okay, now 10 print, hello world. Just do the standard thing, right? 20 go to 10, then we can run it and it works. Escape is the same as the run stop key on the Commodore. So that's really nice. And it works. It works very well. No problem. Another cool thing, there are things I like and dislike about this little guy. Another cool thing is that if you hit this button here on the joystick, then you can go to save load game and you get save spots here, 4 of them. And that's without, that's without putting in a thumb drive or anything. You just automatically get that built in. And then you just hit, if we want to write to disk, I'll just hit this first button right here. And it wrote that out. And then I can go back and load it up again. So if you want something that, use that to load it up, and we're back in it again. So if you want something to just play around with BASIC and you don't want a whole lot of fuss to it, you want it to be easy, something you could just plug and play, you don't have to run an emulator or anything like that, this is a really good option, I think. This thing does cost $40, which is really cheap. I actually bought a couple of them last year for $20 a piece. GameStop was running a sale on them. They sell them on Amazon too, I believe for $40. So super cheap. I do have a couple of things that I don't love about this machine. Number one is this joystick. This joystick has a very, almost a non-existent throw on it here, and I find that to be very uncomfortable and not very precise. It doesn't feel cheap. It actually feels pretty well made, and it's got a lot of buttons and functionality and whatnot. It doesn't feel cheap, but it just doesn't work with that, for me anyways, with that short throw. The buttons don't feel that great to me either. I don't love this joystick. I just don't. But you know, it works. it works. It really feels like, I think they did make a version like this where the guts of this are actually inside of a joystick that you just plug straight into the TV like a plug and play. Now, what would be nice is if you could connect something like the Epix 500 XJ, which in my opinion is the best Commodore 64 or Atari type joystick. I love the micro switches in this thing, and you get a nice little throw there, and it's just really precise. But I've got nowhere to plug this in. I'm sure there's some way to do it. I just haven't looked into it yet. Other options, you can find USB joysticks and whatnot that you can use instead of that too. So big weakness here is not only to have the cheap joystick that doesn't feel really great, but if I understand that, but if they would have included a standard joystick port, that would have been awesome. That would have been really nice. Just one, not even two, just one standard joystick port. I would have appreciated that. So that's a weakness in my opinion. Let's take a look at the games. And it's a mixed bag for me. Like, I do like that it includes a lot of Epix games. The game series, it has World Games, Winter Games. It has a lot of Epix in general. They must have got that, they must have got those really cheap. But a lot of these games, I've heard of Iridium, I've never played it. Trailblazer looks a lot like Ball Blazer, I think it's called. Never heard of that. There's so many games here that I haven't heard of before. I've never seen this game before, and this might be like, some of these may be European titles, but I think for the most part, a lot of these games are just ones they could get for free or really cheap. So, Temple of Asphi trilogy, that's by Epix. Most of the Epix games are pretty good. Super Cycle, another Epix title. Summer Games 2. And then it has all the street sports games, which were popular at the time. Back then, baseball, basketball, soccer, Speedball, I've heard of those. Speedball and Speedball 2. School Days. See, that looks like a really low budget title there. They would have gone straight to low budget, like, you know, cheap software back in the day. Silicon Warrior by Epix. Some kind of Robin Hood game here. Ranorama. Pit Stop 2, that's a classic by Epix. Paradroid. There's some good games, and there's a lot of filler here. It's not too bad. Okay, now these are two games that I absolutely love. These are great little quick play type games. Jumpman and Jumpman 2. Love those two. Played those a lot when I was a kid. It's got Impossible Mission 1 and 2. which I didn't even know there was a sequel for that game. And then we're back to the front again. And then, of course, it does have, oh, here's California Games. That's one of the best multiplayer games on the system, in my opinion. And then it's got Commodore 64 Basic. And yeah, it looks and feels exactly like a Commodore 64 on this screen. So yeah, mixed bag there. Some good games, a lot of pretty crappy looking titles, to be honest. But if that's what kind of helped them keep the cost down, I can live with that, because the good thing is that you can actually put a thumb drive in one of these USB ports here with ROMs on it. You could just play right off the ROM instead of playing from that list. So it's not that big of a deal. You can add your own, and if it kept the price cheap, then I'm good with that. So yeah, overall, I think to get that little burst of Commodore nostalgia, and you're not real serious about it, you don't want to do an emulator, you don't want to spend a bunch of money, you just want to get that little taste, I think this is really good. I really do. And the fact that you can use a thumb drive as a disk drive, this might be a pretty good option for a lot of people. And the fact that it just goes straight out to HDMI, you don't have to have any kind of special monitor or anything like that. I think it's a really good deal, and I'm enjoying it. I also enjoy my original equipment too, of course. Hope y'all enjoyed this quick look at my C64 Mini. I'm happy with it. I think most people probably would be, as long as you don't expect too much and you're willing to put a little time into fooling around with, like you may even have to get a hub or something, USB hub, so you can plug in like, you know, your joystick and your keyboard, and then a thumb drive. You might need a couple more slots there. Overall, I think this is outstanding value, and it's a lot of fun. So I will see y'all again very soon. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of stuff, be sure and subscribe. Bye, y'all.